Building a car on a really tight timeline is a dumb idea. Luckily, I specialize in dumb ideas.
I thought you were in charge of this.
I'm trying to hold it so it doesn't come flying off.
Which is why we're here in Salt Lake City, Utah at Integrated Engineering Headquarters with our sweet 83 Caddy pickup truck. In addition to that, we have all of these parts. I just bought this 1983 Caddy pickup truck, which is a car I've wanted forever. And we have less than 3 days to do a full 07K swap and shake the truck down before making an epic 10-hour drive down to LA so that we can rally up with the OG West Coast Volkswagen crew. This is actually my first time seeing this truck in person. I'm super psyched about that. Now, initially, I wanted to drive this thing and we were gonna try and dyno it, but there's a new development that has happened with this truck. It only has third gear. Yeah, we could drive it in just third gear, but let's be honest, nobody wants to do that. Also, I don't think just having third gear, this truck actually has enough horsepower to even spool the dyno rollers up. So we're scrapping all that and we're just gonna get to work. With the help from my good buddy Dave from Integrated Engineering, you know, the guy responsible for this, we're gonna get some new life into this over 40-year-old truck, then take it on what should be a pretty epic journey. Now, being a 43-year-old truck, there's a lot of good and there's some bad things that I've found so far. This is really early in the inspection process, by the way. First thing is that this control arm bolt is just chilling here, not even snug down, which gave me a bunch of play in the wheel, which may explain why this tire is absolutely cooked. However, it's also on air and probably was driven really low. Doesn't help our tire situation. I also think I figured out what was wrong with the shifter. It's as tight as that control arm was. So this connects to the shifter in the car and then goes up in here into other shifter linkage. So that's very likely why we were getting only third gear. We have a lot of things that we need to also fix. So I mentioned earlier a fuel leak. It looks like it's coming from this pump area. We got a lot of wetness of fuel leaking. So luckily, all this is gonna get replaced anyway. So we don't really need to worry too terribly much about it. I think that's enough talking. Let's actually do some work now. Also, big thanks to WD-40 brand for partnering with us on this video. It should come as no surprise on a 40-year-old vehicle that we're gonna run into rust and potentially stuck fasteners and connectors. So that means our WD-40 Specialist silicone, penetrant, degreaser, and contact cleaner are gonna be free flowing. I'll show you more on what that looks like in a little bit. So all of this is going away. You can see how little the pipe end is. So we figured while we were there, we'd just go ahead and get it going. I'm already soaked and tasted a bunch of coolant. Despite smelling really sweet, it doesn't taste as good as you would like to believe. By the way, I did confirm that this fender situation is a new development because it wasn't like that allegedly when the car went on the transport, so classic. Pig mats to save the day. Yeah, this is now a pig mat floor. Icky.
Oh, dude, yep.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, look at this sweet air filter.
Yeah. Oh, did you see the rust in the bottom of the airbox though? Like, how does rust get in the bottom of the airbox? It's like sucking it out of.
Yeah, this is all the rust that is inside the airbox. You know, we're probably gonna bust on this car a little bit, but like, let's be real. It drives and it's 40 something years old.
Old cars are awesome.
It's like poking me right in the neck. Yeah. These are the worst. Well, I was gonna say be carefully lower that, but that came down much faster than I had expected. I think we are in the clear enough that we can come up at least a foot. And go all the way. One engine removed in about 2 hours, give or take. This is going to be the easiest part of this whole project, is taking this out. With some rust, minimal, but we got it. So the bay looks pretty good. This is going to a local dude here named Mike, who's a Mark 1 aficionado. And just like that, our stock 8 valve out of our Caddy truck is out of there. It's time to focus on what's going in there. This is a 2.5 CBUA that we're going to be swapping into our Caddy truck. The transmission is right back here. We actually have 3 tables of parts that need to go in this thing. The IE intake manifold, the IE valve cover, we got an IE catch can over there, and then mounts, axles, clutch, fuel stuff, maintenance stuff, serpentine belts, a Poly D shift knob. This is the last slacking off moment. We gotta get hustling because we have so much to do, probably starting with cleaning our engine. Because we're doing a new engine, it's against the law to just drop it right in. So we're just spending a little bit of time with some degreaser, getting the bay as clean as we can. This is not a making microchips type situation. This is like, we just want it better than it is. With our engine bay cleaned up and looking nice, it is time for everyone's favorite part of these kind of projects. What am I doing? Well, you know it's not a frickin' engine swap project of any sort if I'm not under the dash. I'm trying to see what our wiring back here looks like. We're just living our best life here.
This is the post-lunch stretch time where we do a little yoga. Well, Charles does yoga.
Typically, whenever I do swaps, I'm doing my own wiring harness. However, because we have no room for error, I sublet out my wire harness building to Dave from TDC Shop. So he built these 2 wiring harnesses for us. This is gonna make this swap plug and play. We have like 4 wires we're gonna have to hook up, and that's it. And Dave's over there working on stripping it down so that we can get all our new IE parts on it.
So on this engine, we're going to swap out both the exhaust manifold and the intake manifold. We're putting on a new fuel rail. We're going to be putting on our valve cover. And so all of this kind of has to be stripped down. New parts need to go on and then just load it in, just because we aren't going to have a lot of space to do things once it's in that engine bay.
Are you standing up?
No?
Oh, never mind.
What you need?
I was just gonna see if you would pull this harness through, but if you're not up, don't worry about it.
Yeah. Well, that one's got another
Oh wait,
wire.
I'm hung. Yeah, jeez, these.
Everything's marked. Man, you really went above and beyond here.
Well, here's the deal. I don't know what some of this stuff is.
Right.
This is all of the wires for the engine
So simple.
on a CIS car. Right now I'm actually feeling okay. The worst thing that could happen is actually we finish and then the car breaks down in the middle of the desert. Like once everything's in the car, we can plug the power link in and flash it because we obviously want to have it tuned because we are going to have basically a race truck. So this is going to be a complete standalone thing. Probably once we get back to the shop, I'll take this apart and integrate it into the car. So it's just like it was from the factory, right? Key in, start, and it all works fine.
All right, final bolt, and we're off. We're gonna change out these studs really fast as well. We have all titanium hardware, so we're gonna put all that stuff on there, get the new header on there, but good progress.
Okay, one old shifter. By the way, this one was also, I think, cracked. This is what we're gonna be putting in. This is an O2J shifter out of a 2001 Beetle. I got some bushings I got to replace down here, just like the Lupo. This is actually common on O2J, O2M style shifters. I've done videos on how to fix all that, if you want to know how to fix your floppity shifter.
We don't have secondary air block-offs, so we're just doing a tap and die method of secondary air block-off.
One of the bolts for the shifter broke. I was trying to put a center punch line in it and then hit the center punch and then I hit it again and it went straight through. So I'm digging through this bucket of bolts, which is really better than trying to retap a hole anyway. Oh, the hula girl, it looks like it was broken and re-glued back on. So here's what I'll say. I hate this so much. This is a very small cabin and a very small windshield, and our girl here is taking up a lot of room, but we're gonna leave it because Ray loves it and he's gonna have a 10-hour drive of just wobbling this freaking hula girl, whatever. For our shifter, we have this bracket, and I did trim the shifter hole out just a little bit. Basically what this does is move the mounting locations of the shifter box. There's some stuff that I had to do to the shifter. There's a bushing completely gone from one of the cables, and I'm sure as heck not going to have it out of the car with no bottom cover on it and not put bushings. That would be dumb.
Now we're gonna kind of test fit the exhaust manifold, which looks like it fits. And now we need to put the rest of the hardware on here, and that's where it's gonna live from now on.
As you know, projects like this always throw you millions and millions of curveballs. And this was one I had not planned for, but it's gonna work out okay. So you remember how sad panda we had on our tire situation? This is, I think, a new development, but this is not. So we're gonna get 4 tires. Luckily, this tire place is right across the parking lot. The boys from IE are gonna drag these over, get us some new tires mounted and balanced so that we can keep going on all the other stuff that we have to do. So even though the 2.5 swap in a Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3 really is pretty straightforward, and with all the parts that we got, we don't have to do a lot of fabrication, right? If you're doing an 07K engine and you're doing an 02J transmission, you have to trim down this top side of the bell housing so that it clears the bottom of the timing cover. If you don't do this and you just go slam the transmission on, you're probably gonna crack the timing cover, and you're not gonna know until you know, and then it's gonna be a really bad day. So make sure you trim this down. It doesn't need a ton, just enough to clear the backside of the timing cover.
One of the only permanent modifications we need to do to this truck is trim a little bit of sheet metal on the left front corner. Basically, right where our fender liner would be.
We sprung a fuel leak somehow. My assumption is the vibration of me grinding and cutting the car jiggled the fuel. But no better time for that to happen than while you're shooting sparks. We need to manage our oil filter and oil cooler situation. So this is the one that comes on the 2.5. It's got the cooler mounted to the side. It's this cartridge leaking all over me. You either have to replace this or like dent the body of the car in order to fit. What we are using is this guy right here. This uses a spin-on filter from like a 1.8 turbo. We have a bunch of different ports. So if you wanted to do a turbo, you could use this housing. Super cool way to do that. We're not gonna do any of that stuff, right? You got, yeah, Dave's booing me. Does IE have a turbo kit for these cars?
No.
Okay, so now you know why we're not doing a turbocharger right now. In all honesty though, if you are turbocharging an 07K, this is probably the piece that you want to get. It also has provision for an external oil cooler. It's just a cheap, really cheap oil cooler off Amazon, because I didn't know exactly where this was gonna go, how we were gonna mount it, and we'll see how that goes. The reason I'm not doing anything else is because I still gotta like work through what some of the coolant situation looks like. So just so you can see, it'll be a spin on, just like a 1.8 turbo, and that's what our oil filter setup is gonna look like. Even though this is like the best engine Volkswagen has made since the mid 90s, it's not problem free. And so we've eliminated a pretty significant failure point, and those are expensive too. Once this engine's in the car, the last thing we're gonna really wanna do is mess around with anything on this serpentine belt circuit. Replacing the water pump here, super simple, because we're not doing chains. And allegedly, this engine only had like 80K on it. And what I'll tell you is if we end up having a timing problem, I want you to go to the comments of this video, and I want you to say, Charles, I told you so. It's pretty easy to tell here why I'm replacing this tensioning roller, because we didn't have a roller on this one at all. That wouldn't have done us any good. I want to show you something important about checking rollers in a serpentine belt circuit. Watch what happens when I spin it. It'll spin a little bit and then it stops. Listen and watch how long this spins. That means there's minimal or no effective, I should say, grease inside of our bearing for our roller. At the end of a pretty productive first day, things are looking good. While we still have a ton of work to do, I'm feeling really optimistic about where we're at. All right, so it's the morning of day 2. A bunch of IE parts need to go on the engine, trans needs to go, clutch needs to go, engine needs to be in the car, wiring, fuel, coolant, all that stuff needs to happen today. So I want to take a few seconds to just appreciate how awesome this project is. I have always wanted a Caddy pickup truck. It's right there. We're in Utah. Amazing. The guys at IE have been so awesome. I just want to take a moment and appreciate how cool this really is. Okay, now we got to get to work. So this is a air conditioning delete. We're pretty lucky that this truck didn't have power steering. I say that now, I'll be complaining about it when I'm cruising around a parking lot. But because the way the 2.5 is, on the front of this engine from the factory, there would be one more pulley right here, and that's the air conditioning compressor. There's a belt that goes from the crankshaft, hits the tensioner to the AC compressor. Has a dual pulley that looks very similar to this, and that drives all of these parts here. I got this full delete kit. So this is a custom made pulley. It's gonna mount to this bracket, which this is actually a factory bracket. Then our serpentine belts are gonna basically work exactly like it did from the factory. So this is our radiator from Autobahn Auto Works. Awesome setup. And what I'm maneuvering, trying to make sure I get right, is how this is gonna fit in our car. The hood latch hangs down. We're gonna be using parts from wiring of the car. And I don't know, like with Dave's harness, does it account for fans too? Or is that, since it's part of the car? I don't know yet. This is not an urgent matter. Something that we need to do is rebuild this shifter. And like all of these, this one's actually, like somebody's been in here, because this is not the right grease. It appears these ball cups are no longer available, and so I haven't had our man Paulie D deep dive that yet. Even though this doesn't look very pretty, we'll never see it again. Our shifter's done. One more checkbox to check the box. What my plan is to have these cables run right between the rack and the firewall, and then that'll go to our transmission, which will be about right here. We won't have to worry about interference with our exhaust. We may end up putting a small heat shield or something on that because of the exhaust, but that's a not right now problem. So a couple of things that need to happen before our engine goes in. We got to get our fuel lines dealt with. So we had that gusher of fuel. This only needs one fuel line into the engine because the fuel pressure regulator is built into the fuel filter. We have a line out of the tank, which goes to the pump, which then comes out of the pump and has to go to our fuel pressure regulator, which has -6 fittings on it. So you have a line in, a line out, and then this is the return. So this is the hose that's gonna go back to the fuel tank. And what we don't wanna do is make 800 trips to the parts store. We're trying to make one, and then one more after a while. So there'll be at least two. There's a couple of options when you do a Mark 1 swap to a more modern transmission like this O2J. You can do the clutch cable like this. This end will connect to the top of the Caddy clutch pedal. Then this end right here actually goes to this, which is a mechanical slave cylinder. So like, this is a factory part. I think like 93 Eurovans used it. It works mechanically instead of hydraulically, whereas the transmission that this car came out of would have been a hydraulic setup. This is the easiest way to do it. If you're doing this though, I actually think the hydraulic clutch setup is a much better setup. It's an easier drive, it's more comfortable, especially if this is gonna be like a daily driver. This way though is much cheaper and much easier, and you don't have to take your dash out. Oh, geez. Our original engine had a cable going from the gas pedal to the throttle body. And funny enough, there's supposed to be a little bushing in here that was completely gone. It pivots on a bracket in the car like this, so when you push the gas, boop, it pulls the throttle cable, opening the throttle body. We are moving to drive-by-wire. We have a mount coming. This engine was initially paired to an automatic transmission, and ain't nobody got time for that. So we gotta get rid of this flex plate, put a clutch on it. Flex plate, gone. Clutch, pressure plate, flywheel, secured. Should I go dirty my gloves like Paul does and then touch on the clutch disc? I actually bought his flywheel holder tool. So this is neat. It goes in, then it holds a flywheel like that. So not as cool as our bent valve situation, but I figured it was probably time to just be an adult big boy technician and get the right tool for it. I need to find a longer ratchet. This ain't getting it done. To be fair to me, I'm also supporting the engine so it doesn't go tumbling over. Cleaned it up, put the clutch on, we're good. In case you're wondering, this is all it takes to do a manual swap. Just take the flex plate off, put a clutch on it, done. I'm going to now mount the transmission and see if I trimmed enough out of the bell housing or if I gotta trim some more.
All right, so I think next on the engine is gonna be valve cover and intake manifold, or do you wanna do those after?
I think I wanna try and do those in the car.
Okay.
That may be a mistake, let me be very clear.
cut to that footage.
But yeah, cut to
Fast forward.
Charles really pissed off about making a dumb choice. We got to get the mount off. We got to put our mounts on. So we're close. I would say hour and a half. In fact, Ray's gonna go mark whatever time it is, and then he's gonna put how long it actually took before we got the engine in the car. 1.5 hours is my guess.
One of the major things that changes is how our engine mounts up. We need to use the factory Caddy mounting locations. That means we have to use different mounts on our 07K.
So we got to take off this little retainer bracket here, which is just a couple of triple squares, and then this guy mounts right like that. Well, let's see if I can get it on as easy as it went on when Dave and I were test fitting. Oh, it doesn't help that the cart's rolling away. There we go. There we go. We're close. Rotate in place. I think I said it would be like an hour and a half before the engine was ready to go in the car, or maybe it was in the car. I don't really remember. It's been 2.5 hours and I just put the transmission on. So big L on my part, but listen, I don't want to rush and end up doing something stupid like flying to Salt Lake City to do a Mark 1 07K swap in 2 days before driving 600 miles. I don't want to do anything dumb like that. If you can do the hydraulic setup, I think that's the way to go. I just really hate that everything lives behind the instrument cluster. Something else in the vein of fixing our floppity shifter. See how this little slider piece has all this play and wiggle? This actually rides in the middle and gives you a lot tighter of a shift feel. So if you're like, I want a little bit firmer, more positive shifting experience, but I don't want to do a short shifter, on an 02J, this is what you want. Where is this gasoline coming from?
This thing is still pissing. So like we literally disconnected the line that's coming from the tank. So this is just residual stuff. It's been pissing out for hours, just like here. Still, yeah, there's literally gas coming out of that. Literally gas.
Ow.
Everything. Hey Charles, don't call me next October.
I won't. WD-40 brand specialist, penetrant and low odor. Not that it would matter because everything smells like gasoline right now.
Hey Charles, what is it that you were doing over here?
So I was just about to say, you might be wondering what I'm doing over here, and then Dave walked over and said exactly the thing. So Dave's working on the fuel system, which is awesome. Our kit was missing a vital component. This kit that has this bracket and the cable is supposed to come with a plug to plug the hole where the reverse switch goes. So what I did was I got this M12 by 1.5 bolt, I cut it down and I put a small notch in it so that we could do this with a flat blade screwdriver. So I'm gonna put some thread locker on it, I'm gonna run it in, and that's all she wrote.
We're gonna chop this, we're gonna put it in the vise, and I am going to make it our friend again by putting on an actual fitting so that we can make our own line all the way up to the fuel rail, and we'll be happy and we'll be riding around and we'll forget that we were ever working on this car.
Now that the truck and the engine bay are pretty well sorted out, it's time. It is time for the monumental moment of installing our engine. I'll tell you, the 07K with an 02J transmission is a very tight fit when installing in a Mark 1. We had a handful of times where we might have needed to massage a brake line to be sure that we had plenty of room for our engine. The engine bay with this engine in it looks so good. Some might say, looks like it maybe should have came this way from the factory.
We are in. This is a victory moment. Zane came, saved the day. You may also remember Zane from such episodes as Moldy Orange GTI. Ew. What time is it? It's been 4 hours and 15 minutes. Well, so we're 3 hours and 15 minutes late. But check it out. Here's what I'm excited about. There's a ton of room to actually like put all the stuff in. I can sort the radiator out. Getting the manifold on is going to be tricky. We're already prepped for that. But I'm feeling so much better right this minute.
Now we just got to install a motor.
I just want to point out how low this engine hangs. So here's the bottom of the engine. Here's the bottom lip of the front of the truck. Here's the control. The control arm is like right here. When this truck gets aired out, we'll be laying on the oil pan. That's what all the slammed enough kids want. We're gonna stand on gas pumps and air out our cars.
And when a car's on air, you better not be like riding on air all the way.
Oh no, we're riding dirty, dog. I'm gonna start with the wiring.
Is that where that goes? I literally just put away all the tools.
He's got a point, and I'm going to give him that one. That was a D move on my part. You don't know what that was? That was a D move, meaning a poly D move.
Oh.
Yeah. Phenomenal. Engines in, all 3 mounts, great, cool. Wiring time. This is going to be a place where I'm going to do a little bit of wiring, then I'm going to do something else, then a little more wiring, and then do something else, because we have all these things that kind of have to walk together to get this completed. My goal is to have our ECM under the dash. So these need to go through the firewall, and I'm kind of hoping and praying that that goes through. We bumped into some issues in this project, right? I spent like a week and a half going part by part by part, trying to make sure that we had everything. And you know what I didn't do? I didn't get everything. The other thing is, and this is where like if this happens to you, I want you to give yourself like a little bit of grace for this. We've changed our mind on certain things like 7 times. And Dave knows what the heck he's doing. I've done very similar swaps before. Everyone is different, and sometimes you want to do something one way, sometimes it's going to go the other way. It really depends on the car, the swap, whose mount kit you get, what radiator you have. So if you run into a problem, just don't beat yourself up about it. And we're going to just sit right there, friends.
Yeah, you've never Volkswagened if you haven't ran an external cooler.
Let's be clear though. This is not an integrated engineering solution. This is a Dave solution.
We definitely need to. Yeah, I'm gonna get in trouble for that one.
Yeah. How long before something grabbed one of these hoses and ripped the whole thing apart, you think?
I mean, considering they're dragging on the ground with it in the air, yeah.
It is finally time to fix a problem with this truck that has been plaguing integrated engineering since the minute it got here, and that is leaking fuel.
Look at that. What a unit.
CIS for days, man.
The truck was leaking when it got here. We made it way worse, stinking up the entire warehouse, so much so that I'm pretty sure these guys are never going to invite us back for any kind of other project because it stinks. Luckily, there's a solution, and we're basically replacing the entire fuel system minus the fuel tank, which thankfully wasn't the source of the leak.
So this is the original bracket, as you can tell by the rust and grime. On a CIS car, there's a fuel accumulator that keeps line pressure. This deletes the return system, and it's a built-in fuel pressure regulator and all of those things in one. So we're gonna have one line that's going from here back up to the front of the Caddy. The rest of the stuff has to go back to the tank. So this is the return to the tank that I was just finishing. I'm gonna cut this down, get it bolted up, and then this will still sit in the factory location, and it should be the best of both worlds. It should be nice and clean install, and that's what we're going for, even though we don't have time.
Because we're on a timeline, there's certain sacrifices that have to be made. However, what we can't do is sacrifice or put ourselves in a position where the work we do is going to potentially fail prematurely, because we don't want to be stranded in the middle of Nevada because we didn't do a good job with the fuel system or something like that, right? It's time for an update. The current time is 9 p.m. Mountain Time. Yes, we have an engine in the Caddy truck. But that's about where the good news stops. We have spent this entire day running around trying to find trinkets and knickknacks and doodads and whatnots. This car should really be running now. We should be buttoned up and ready to come in tomorrow morning fresh and drive this thing. And we're obviously way behind. One of the more frustrating car project days that I've had. The dinner place?
I mean, Taco Bell is open late to serve you great.
What about Del Taco?
Del Taco, I don't know their motto.
Del Taco is open. Yeah. And I'm on the lowest of the low at this point in time. So I'm gonna just focus on one little teeny tiny itty bitty baby task at a time. We're gonna get as much done as we can tonight, and then we'll hope for a better day tomorrow. So time to get going, back to it. I dropped the nut again. Got him. Fucking hell, come on. Tested the clutch pedal. Clutch feels good. Shifters feel good. I hope with all of my heart and soul, we just got the last piece of our puzzle, and that is the shifter pedal bracket from Fabless. This is an old GTI pedal. And then I got this one from Brian at One Love. Remember that pivot in the gas pedal that I showed you guys earlier? This should bolt through there. That is likely a version of how it goes. And then the pedal, nice and easy, goes like that. Fabless sent these, and I gotta tell you, out of all the little snacky doos, those are probably my favorite. I have set them on the wipers because that's gonna be our first fire reward. Once we start the car, we're gonna share those trolleys, I don't know how to say it. We're gonna share those around.
We ended yesterday on a bit of a down note, and understandably so. As of right now, we are exactly 24 hours away from hitting the road to go to California. We still have fuel, wiring, intake manifold, coolant system, and probably some other things that I haven't even accounted for yet left to install. So this right now is full on crunch time.
Good morning. I'm ready to go. I want to get this done.
He's ready.
We have, let's see, I mean, in less than 24 hours, we should be driving down to Cali. Technically, there's a whole bunch of stuff I did not do on my car either. So
he's out here being a team player. Where we are is I am swapping out a coolant temp sensor. I'm test fitting the coolant hoses. And basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get everything sorted so that when I go back in with the radiator, that's the last time that has to happen. When I go back on with the manifold, that's it, right? Like what's really weird to me is that it's tight in a interesting way. So I can stick my whole arm over here. So if you wanted to do a serpentine belt, no problem. If you wanted to, I don't know, do exactly what I'm doing and replace this coolant temp sensor clip, this is almost touching the master cylinder for the brakes. So some areas super tight, super close. This right here actually looks way worse than it is. All that is going to be tucked up underneath the dash. It's the relays, it's the pedal, but the only challenge there is going to be getting it up underneath the dash in a way that's somewhat neat.
So this is ready to go in. I need to tighten some things up. I need to crimp on my ends.
We can both thank and blame Dave for all of this, every bit of it. The car, the swap, the parts, the struggles, the highs, the lows, the eventing, tomorrow that we're leaving for. Yeah. Tomorrow at 6 a.m. that we're leaving for. Well, I also don't want to necessarily drive this car super in the dark.
Oh, yeah, these headlights are not, sealed beams have never been a good idea.
I have to have the high beams on the S4 just for it to look like I have the lights on.
So we were talking about going under the intake manifold here. We got so many things going on with like dipstick and all of this. Like I think that should actually live on that side of this. But the idea with this one was kind of slide under here maybe. I think this one actually will do the job. We're installing the manifold?
I can't put it on until I get the radiator in.
Joke.
Oh, thank you. Perfection.
I think that would work really good.
What am I hitting? Is that just the...
That does, that feels pretty flush on the bottom there.
Is it hella flush?
Hella.
Hold on, mate.
I'm excited.
He picked the one runner. So the oil cooler is I don't know why I have this on my body like this. Yeah, I just am trying to shave time off of things where I can. And if we can get away temporarily with no oil cooler, and let me be clear, it's not the right solution.
When driving through the desert.
Yes. The right answer is to just do it. We may be doing it anyway, despite me not really wanting to. What do you think about this?
I don't care.
Like, this has to be better than the factory oil cooler.
It's better than nothing. There's not a great place for it, to be really honest.
No, there's definitely not. If you look, there is that hole. That is where the factory air duct pulled fresh air, which means there should be some sort of airflow coming through this hole. We're gonna get a couple brackets, and we're just gonna mount this guy like right here. If we don't finish this truck, I gotta ride in the back of Dave's wagon down to an event called Treff Punks, which is all about actually getting your project car done. Like it literally says on their website, get your project car running. And since I don't wanna be the laughing stock of this show, we need to get this thing going. You know how sometimes these lines they feel a little wrong, and you have to make the decision, do you send it or do you take it back off 6 more times and try again? We'll be able to tuck this up a bit. I don't love the fitting just exposed, you know?
I don't love it, but I also don't know what you're gonna, like, the fact that these lines work, again, it's still all higher than the freaking oil pan. Look, oil pan, these.
And it's got this sweet dam on it, so it should shed things down. And then it's gonna launch it right into the oil pan. Boom, hole in the oil pan, engine grenades, car stuck on side of road. Ray just asked me how the hell the manifold is gonna fit, and I told him very snugly, It can go on. The only one that's going to be awful is this bolt right here. That one is going to be a real challenge to get on because we have no space and it's a pain in the butt bolt to get to anyway.
This is our machine shop. And so we got like rods that are being honed, all of our different CNC machines, and we're gonna use big belt sander. We're a little tight on clearances with that radiator, so we're just gonna sand that down until we're happier. Okay, we made some clearance here. Let's take it back over there and see if Charles hates me. Yeah, that's all.
That looks real nice.
Is that good enough? Is that enough?
Good enough for government
I was starting to get into this. I was like, yep, nope,
boy.
let's stop there.
Yeah, that should be fine.
That feels wonderfully fantastic to me. This is video evidence against me that we'll be using in a court of law when this car burns to the ground. This is loose.
Yeah.
We gotta run that to here. It's dry, cracking 40-year-old rubber. I got fresh rubber and then run it to the front here.
There, okay.
Again, what I think we do is, I think we run the rubber from there, we clamp it up there, and then we have it, and then we just hot swap.
Just hot swap. Yeah. So you've already seen the header that we put on many hundreds of years ago, it feels like. Now we got to do the downpipe, which is going to sit just like this. And we'll put our O2 sensor in it later. New hotness indeed, yeah. Especially compared to that old crusty exhaust.
One of the first of the new lines here. This will basically go from our factory line to our -6 AN that is on the fuel pressure.
I'm excited that parts are going on this car.
Oh, yeah, that's always a plus.
We are down to the wire, so it's about noon.
I tightened the one and it loosened the other one because I was holding on to it.
Oh no.
The greatest, this is the WD-40 Specialist Silicone Spray. I'm just gonna try to sneak this pipe on. So we're gonna put a little silicone in there before we slide her in.
Okay, we got our axle. This is an axle that I got from S&P. It should, in theory, go right in. She fits.
Charles, I shouldn't say this, but I'm gonna say it.
Okay.
The more stuff we put on just means the more stuff we have to take off when the engine doesn't run.
That's true. That's very true. Listen, if that's happened, it doesn't matter.
And that ship has sailed.
Yeah. This is about to make a mess. Yeah. That completely destroyed the line, having the clamps on it.
I think at that point I was so tired of smelling gasoline.
You're like, I don't even care what's happening.
I don't care if this is crushed completely.
It's spraying right at me. 3, 2.
Wow,
Just a little in my armpit. It's fine. I don't mind it on
Shop
my
towels
hands.
are over there.
It's when it gets in your armpit that it's real bad.
What is the?
Oh, it's coming out the front. Get the clamps. Where's the clamps?
Oh yeah, oh, it's in my armpits.
Yep.
It's going down my back. I thought you were in charge of this.
I'm trying to hold it so it doesn't come flying off.
Did you pinch it?
I pinched the one.
Yeah, but I think it's this one, the drain back is the one that...
Where's the pinchies are here?
Oh, that was fun.
That sucked.
Dude, that blew chunks.
You're gonna just
I'm
forever-
gonna smell it for a lifetime because it's in my watch band. That's gonna get thrown away. Oh, that was a bad idea. Yeah, the cost of the job here. It's all the way down my arm. Look at that. You can see it like all the way down there. It went all the way down my armpit. Now, if we just light it, it just
All our problems are over.
dries up real quick. The question that I have is, we only have one line that comes up here.
Yeah.
That is the feed line.
Yeah.
Or what we assume is the feed line.
Yeah.
When you hooked up that feed line, nothing happened. Now, when you hooked up that return line, it went haywire.
Unless it just filled it from here, We're making progress. Dave's over at the car buttoning up some stuff with the radiator and the cooling system. While he's doing that, I'm gonna get our intake manifold all worked out. This is the IE upgraded intake manifold. We have our upgraded fuel rail, and there's a little bit of construction that goes into it, but nothing crazy. We gotta install these little feet right here. We are reusing our injectors, which, if you know me and engine swaps, fuel injectors are kind of a sticking point, I suppose. So we have our rail, it's gonna sit just like this. We have this side capped off because we have the fuel pressure regulator built into the filter, and then we're gonna have our fuel come in from the lines that Dave made, and that's gonna be our fuel deliveries. Okay, check that baby out. I sure do wish we had bandwidth to get this dry ice blasted, but off the calendar, don't even worry about it. The one thing I didn't do yet is I didn't put these O-rings on yet, because I'm gonna do that when we get over the car, because if I put them on now, for sure one's gonna fall off, and I'm not gonna know. We're gonna have your intake manifold bolts are loose on your Beetle situation, and we don't want that. It's valve cover time. By the way, just look at this beautiful brushed valve cover. So this is going on. We got our fitting for our catch can. Our old valve cover needs to come off first though. Let's get that thing the crap out of here. Okay, well, a plus note, our engine looks pretty good down there. Oh, that did it.
What?
It just needed some WD-40 brand specialist silicone spray.
That doesn't look like silicone spray to me.
Oh, that's contact cleaner. WD-40 brand. Okay, I say like, you know, I misuse WD-40 stuff often. That is a place where you should not. But it worked. Whether you're doing this on this dope IE super cool valve cover or the factory one, you really need to make sure you get your gasket properly seated in the bolts. Otherwise, you're gonna roll the gasket and you're gonna have a bad day. Let's sanity check real quick. Dave did the world's bestest job mounting the radiator. So it looks awesome. It's got a little rubber action. We have all of our coolant done. Our oil coolers mounted and plugged. I think this is the manifold time.
I think it is. Uh-oh.
I'm gonna have to lop that off. Wait. Don't do things this way, friends. This is the wrong way.
Like, for the reference of everyone at home, I don't know what time it is. If I give it
3 o'clock.
My goal right now is we have to have this running and moving under its own power by 6, because that's 12 hours before we leave to drive this through the desert. So,
what those actually were is their coolant lines. We're gonna try and send her. Hey, it ain't touching.
it fits. So this is the intake that fits like a Mark V, Mark VI. We have to figure out what is gonna actually fit on here. Now, let's be clear, this is way too big, but we can cut it.
Even though the Caddy came with basically a brand new battery, there's no way we can use this one because it's absolutely ridiculously huge. And that leaves us no room for an intake, which means we get to add a new battery to the list of things we're replacing.
If I had an anti-gravity battery, I'd give it to you. This battery is way too big. We have absolutely zero space. It hits our upper radiator pipe. We also could only fit the intake as a filter, but we have it sitting here just to maybe try to see if our fuel system is holding fuel.
Our last bit of wiring that needs to be done is connecting our fuel pump. Luckily, our harness has a flying lead on it, so all I gotta do is connect this gray wire to the power side on our fuel pump. And I learned, if you're gonna stick your hand under the carpet of a 40-year-old truck, you better be wearing gloves because there was something real gross behind the carpet.
That close to firing this car up. I have to put oil in it. We probably need more like 7 liters. So the major things we're looking for are fuel leaks, as well as things catching on fire.
I thought you said you wanted this thing to burn to the ground. If it's
Yeah, but not in the shop.
Okay.
Cable's hooked up. I'm gonna connect the ground wire.
Man, that feels like you're doing something really bad.
We got throttle body clicks.
Yep. That sounds...
It cranks. Actually sounds great.
Yeah, it does actually. Zane, do you have any fuel pump back there?
Nothing.
Can we try and hook the scan tool up and see about flashing this? Three, two, one, cranking. We got no spark, do we?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm stealing a jumper cable just to get us a proper ground, perhaps, just kind of troubleshooting to make sure we know why we aren't getting sparks. Michael ran to Walmart and he found a battery that also fits your side-by-side, and it actually bolts down in a factory location and in factory ways. This is made for your local lawnmower. If it'll crank the car over, that'll be a plus.
Dave, who built the harness, had an engine running with that harness and a different ECM. So it could be a mobilizer. We have no warning lights for the car, so we don't know. We got a list of faults. One of them is start blocked by a mobilizer. So we're gonna work through that and see what happens. Carter has the ECM in his little tuning hole. I'm saying I think that's what's wrong. I'm actually just hoping that's what it is.
We're making sure the immobilizer is defeated so we can get it to flash.
Big red
If it
X's
wants
are
to
gone.
flash. Yeah.
If it's in the mood to flash.
Yeah, if it's in the mood to flash due to the K tag being so old, but we'll get it.
So while he's doing that, we're going through all the other little baloney-ish things.
We cut apart some parts and made a new part. This
might.
is not an official IE product. You cannot buy this.
But Dave will custom make you one.
If you pay that install price, yeah.
Only if you get it chromed, though. So I'm putting the driver's side axle in. Dave's doing that. You probably remember those horrible tires with the no sidewall action. Well, for sub $400, we got 4 tires. Also, we gotta take the stickers off because ain't nobody got time for sticker tires. As soon as we got fuel up to the engine, we had a gusher of fuel leaking down the front of our engine. Even though that was annoying and I may or may not have thrown 1 or 2 tools, it was an easy fix and we just put a normal rubber fuel line on it, solving our fuel injectors leaking. So I figured I'd come in here and get our shifter done. I will tell you, if you do this O2J and you still have the factory shift bezel, it doesn't fit correctly. What we're gonna do now, for temporarily's sake, is we're just not gonna put that on. I'm gonna put this guy back on, just like that. When we get back to the shop, I'll 3D print something or some kind of just bracket. What we are gonna do, though, is do our Poly D shifter. I've actually never installed one of these, despite having had one for quite some time. He sent me a couple of coin options. I think we're just gonna go with the DAP one. Out of all the things, this is the thing Paul should be here doing for us. Oh, the nice thing about this is we'll be able to raise this shifter up pretty high. Okay, it is 8:03 p.m. Well, what we did was we swapped the crank position sensor. That's actually a pretty common 2.5 problem. Normally you'd get a fault. Normally you'd see no RPM while you're cranking. Well, we don't have a tach. I don't think it's gonna matter personally. But we have to walk through some issues. The final bit to our fueling problem on this car was one of those problems that was completely self-induced by yours truly. It seems that somehow our feed and return line got swapped around on the fuel filter. Probably my fault, to be honest. Our feed line was going into the return hole, and the return hole was going to the feed line of the fuel tank, which means we were getting no fuel up to our engine. It's wrong, not surprising. This is the kind of stuff that can easily happen. Probably just leave it dangling down here and see what happens. With all of our fueling system issues seemingly solved, we still have a truck that does not run. And after working through a couple of versions of the tune, it's time to plug it in and see what happens. Like, what the hell? I'm pretty sure it was the throttle body snapping. Yeah. I'm not even what the hell of that. I'm what the hell of this.
We didn't do anything.
Sometimes things are just upside down. But you know what we need to do? This is what we're going to do right now. Trolley time. We're gonna celebrate because it's been a long damn day and I'm tired and these guys are amazing and I think everybody only gets one. Great job, everybody. I don't want to actually touch my gummy worm to any of yours. No offense. This is normally a moment that we should be celebrating. However, we have a looming timeline and only a couple of hours to actually get this thing on the road. Thankfully, all the guys at IE are jumping in and giving us a hand because without them, I really don't think we're gonna get this truck done. My initial plan was, in addition to being done yesterday, was to do a whole battery of maintenance on this thing. Obviously, we have oil, filter, that kind of stuff. The thing I still need to do, transmission fluid. So I'm actually only going to make sure that it's topped up and send it. We'll do a full flush when we get back to the shop. The way you check your fluid level on a manual transmission, many manual, not all of them, take the fill plug out and you should get a little dribble of fluid out. For our ECM, there's a few things that need to happen. One, it needs to be immobilizer defeated. Thankfully, Integrated Engineering already took care of that for me. Two, we need to flash the ECM with a tune file. Not only is this going to give us a little bit of a bump in horsepower, it'll account for our new intake manifold, as well as some other changes that we've made to the engine. This is a super simple process done with a laptop, and if this were a Mark 7, we'd actually be able to flash it with our phone. Okay, are we feeling good about maybe running it, lifting it up, sanity checking? Yep. maiden voyage. It is clearly many, many hours later. She's moving, she's grooving. It's very rattly, but it sounds awesome. Yeah, I'm sure we'll, along the way, find all the things that are problematic, like the oil pan a couple inches from the ground and the rest of the car that we haven't really done anything to. For context, I think it's 11:30 and we are leaving tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. So just enough time to go back to the hotel, pack. I will say, the major takeaway for today is that the IE guys are incredible, and a bunch of dudes rolled up their sleeves. Zane, Carter, Michael, Christian came back. So awesome.
After 3 grueling days of work, the truck runs. However, now it's time to jump in and make the drive down to California. And for me, this is the place where the stress level is the highest.
Good morning, man. About to hit the road, head down to Trefpunks. I heard you might be rubbing a little. Still having like the original like paint marks on the tire. You're already like shredding. Yeah.
Now, we've only put about 10 miles on our truck, and we already have tire rubbage problems. 1, the wheel fitment is not great. And 2, we have air ride. Luckily, Mikey gave me a hand getting our alignment tweaked just enough so that we don't rub and blow a tire out after like 50 miles.
Another brand new tire just in case, considering in 40 miles, you've almost already consumed one.
Our shakedown time is up because we have got to hit the road. I would love to tell you that that was the last of our truck sadness, but as you'll see in a minute, it's not. Okay, so here's something cool, sort of. As you can see, we're at the parts store. Earlier today, we had a tire issue, right? And Mike did a little maneuvering with the alignment. We got it better, so we're not destroying that left front tire. They're topping off the transmission fluid in Scirocco. And what's cool is like, when you're traveling with a group of people in an older VW or Audi, between the group, we got it all covered, right? One dude had a jack, one dude's got the tools, some guys got the fluid, a couple people know what they're doing, not me, of course. Not so much cool that your car's got an issue, but it's cool that like collectively the community has your back. That's what makes road trips like this in older cars a lot of fun. 4 or so, 5 hours into our drive, and we've made it this far, and that's all I'm saying. I'm not jinxing it. We have made it to our stop. So basically what's gonna happen is tomorrow we're gonna meet up with the whole crew and make our way up to wherever this event is at. So here we are. It cleaned up so well. I don't believe it. So the fact that that thing drove 700 miles yesterday, cleaned up well, and our only real casualty of the truck so far really is one wheel cap. I think that's a victory, guys. So I just swapped out this fuel line, and I want to show you why. This is the line that we put on it Wednesday,
700 miles ago.
You can just see how swollen it is. Definitely not like the proper fuel line. So kind of as a preemptive measure, we replaced it with this. I'm gonna keep both of these though. God forbid we have to replace it again. If it worked for 700 miles, it'll probably be good for the couple hundred miles we're gonna drive today. And if we need to, I have a second line to replace it, so.
With the truck fixed and our friends all here, it's time to rally.
So in front of us is the VR5 swap Lupo that we did a while back. It's cool to see it on the West Coast, considering we put it together on the East Coast.
And then behind us is Jane Pomfrey's car, which is also a 5-cylinder.
When we put these two cars together, it's a Huracan.
Woo! Let's wait till we stop. I don't think anybody's gonna hear anything. All right, we're doing it. We're at the event. This is going on. The cars around us are awesome. The Caddy is driving, which I'm insanely thankful for. This is so cool. We got 2.5 25 miles an hour AC. This is Friday. This is our main cruise day. 3 5-cylinder cars that I've had my hands on. I gotta tell you, that's pretty damn cool. Like, the fact that we're on the West Coast, the fact that there's 3 cars here that I was involved with the engine swaps on. I don't know, it's pretty special. We made it! All the hard work, all the effort, all the grind. Hold on, I gotta unbuckle. All of it leads up to us being here at the Treff Punks event. We're in Kernville, California, wherever the heck that is, mountains everywhere, big rocks, and the truck made it. So now the event actually starts. We already got a Harlequin friend right here, which is super dope, and this is gonna be awesome. It's been 900 miles on this thing. So since we're somewhere beautiful and there's 900 miles on the truck, how about an update? So let's shake it down. First of all, we've driven the canyons, the valley, the desert. We're up in the mountains now, and it's been amazing. The truck has done pretty well for what it is, but let's talk about some casualties. Our hula girl has hulaed her last hula. She is no longer on the dashboard of this journey. She is behind the seat though, so she'll live on in the Caddy forever. Under the hood, we've fared really well. We replaced the fuel line yesterday. So far, knock on wooden steering wheel, we've kept all the juices inside of the engine, coolant, oil, brake fluid, in about 2.5 days. We did all of this stuff before we made the 700-ish mile journey from Utah down to California. That's amazing. And we have a little bit more driving to do, but not too much. And you know, I'm not ripping it. This is not Tail of the Dragon, although these roads are dope, and I don't want to even dare say they may be more fun. It's done well. Let's talk about this event. We've had a lot of things happening recently in the car community. Most of us have seen what went down at Slammed Enough in Gatlinburg. This is the exact opposite. I feel like I got a seat at the cool kid table by being invited to this event. You know, whenever I talk about Wookiees in the Woods, which is hilarious, I didn't even plan that I was gonna wear this shirt today. It's sort of like summer camp with all your best buddies that are also into the same kind of stuff you are. And this event to me is probably what the very first Wookiees in the Woods was like. Just a handful of people enjoying the same car, hanging out, BSing, talking about wheels, talking about their car, showing the mods that they've done. Listen, don't get twisted, 1.8 turbo kids, at what I'm about to say. It's not Jettas two-stepping down the parking lot. It's not airing out so you look cool. Just a really chill, low-key vibe. Dudes hanging out, having fun, talking about the thing that a lot of us are the most passionate about. Highly curated, highly thought out. Scotto and Whipple drove this road a couple of days ago just to make sure everything was okay. And what my hope is, as these kind of events become more popular, they become what car culture and what the car community actually is, and pulls the attention away from the crazy things that happened recently around car shows. So absolutely awesome.
1,136-ish miles we've put on the Caddy since we did the engine swap. And despite our hula girl, we landed at Ultimate HQ almost trouble-free. About 20 minutes ago, we heard a bump and then the exhaust got super loud. So we nursed it back, and what it looks like is the weld on the flex pipe where it goes into the piece that attaches to the V-band broke. I don't know if it's the flex pipe, I don't know if it's the welding job, but I do know that we have a down pipe that is down. The exhaust drug on the highway, and yeah, so that is our finale. We made it almost that close to being trouble-free, but we'll have an exhaust to fix once we get it back to the shop.